Good morning, everybody. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio Sinoland in Shenzhen, just south of the Tropic of Cancer. I've got a short little podcast today. U.S. empire increasingly desperate against Baba Beijing. Intimidation will backfire. Lots of hyperlinks. Just go to the YouTube and SoundCloud channels, or go to this article, which I'll refer thereof, to find them all. At least U.S. President Donald Trump is honest, and his administration is reflecting that reality. When he said, "People say you don't like China. No, I love them. Their leaders are much smarter than our leaders. It's like taking the New England Patriots and Tom Brady and have them play your high school football team. That's the difference between China's leaders and our leaders." Quote. And it's true. It's not a question of better or worse leaders. It's that China's communist socialist democracy works for the people and has been since liberation 1949, while the West capitalist non-representative version serves the 1%, something I've written about in Sino detail. For Westerners, read it and weep, because it's a hard reality to wrap one's head around, necessary to truly understand how the world works, East and Occident. As I wrote about extensively in the China trilogy, Chinese civilization has been communist socialist going back 5,000 years. They've had a lot of practice making it work well for themselves. Baba Beijing definitely offers an alternative system of governance in the West. America's owners gave away the manufacturing store to China starting in the 1980s, gutting the United States' middle class, turning its already Potemkin labor unions into eunuchs, all for the capitalist sake of quarterly profits, multi-million-dollar executive payouts, and golden parachutes. There's even a word for it: corporate financialization, where a company is managed by the CEO to maximize the stock price in order to reap the biggest salary possible. GM is a good example. It's true of much of Wall Street since the 1980s. In spite of all the well-orchestrated mainstream propaganda about keeping all the high-paying white-collar jobs, end of quote, history has shown that manufacturing always draws research and development, technology, innovation, and financing into its orbit. The U.S. and now more and more Europe, Japan, and South Korea depend on China as the world's manufacturing powerhouse. Thus, all of Trump's invectives about trying to bring back jobs to the homeland, the MAGA movement, M-A-G-A, Make America Great Again, makes sense. But it will never happen because he doesn't run the country. Wall Street, the oil bankers, and military spy deep state do. They own the U.S. Congress people and senators like wall trophies, all well bribed, extorted, and blackmailed. Since capitalism cannot compete against communism socialism on a level playing field, the former's only options are to commit sabotage, war, sanctions, and subterfuge to weaken the latter. Chaz Freeman calls positive Western diplomatic relations from strongest to weakest: alliance, entente, a protectorate, client state, and cooperative transactional relations. And none of them are good for the West's other half, as they all mean subordination of the country's needs to those of the United States. On the negative side, there are enmity, adversarial antagonism, rivalry, and competitive transactionalism. Again, none of them are good for countries that want to be independent of the West. And with Donald Trump's policies, the U.S. rapidly moved its relations with China to enmity, which means trying to destroy China along with a long list of other perceived enemies. Thus, after Trump slapped high tariffs on China's exports, U.S. Vice President Pence came out with a speech to announce to the world that the United States was ready for all-out Cold War unless China submits to all of Uncle Sam's demands like a good poodle. This hostility and extortion were declared at the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC, APEC Summit, Papua New Guinea, This while China's President Xi Jinping was living up to the summit's name, cooperation. The U.S. should be disinvited to future summits as it only goes there to divide and conquer, not build bridges in mutually beneficial cooperation like the other 20 participants. To add desperate fuel to the imperial fires, the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo gave a policy speech in Brussels, home of the Yankee prostitutes NATO and EU. Give Trump and his administration credit. They openly tell all the world what used to be conducted behind diplomatic doors, including extortion. Pompeo said that not only China, but the entire planet must submit to Uncle Sam's imperial order and not China's or Russia's. The writing is on the wall. Since 1949, communist socialist China has been rising and offering the whole world a cooperative win-win multipolar vision of global governance, the Belt and Road Initiative, the BRI, as its backbone. Imperialist capitalist West, with Uncle Sam calling the shots, has no viable answer to Baba Beijing's century-spanning vision, so it can only do what it does best: invasions, war, occupation, color revolutions, sanctions, boycotts, extortion, bribery, blackmail, and assassinations. It has worked most of the time for the last 3,000 years, starting with the Greeks and Romans, then on to the Crusades and global colonialism, which is still ongoing. However, after a mere blip of 110 years of being able to rape and plunder China, starting with the Opium Wars in 1839 until communist liberation in 1949, China has resumed its rightful place as the world's geopolitical and on the world's geopolitical and economic map. Remember, until Britain ransacked and destroyed the economies of China and India in the 19th century, those two countries each had 25% of the planet's GDP, with the UK having 2%. English colonialism reversed those numbers in just one generation for India, 2 generations for China. It is historical normalcy that China be the biggest global economy, as it was that way for millennia, accepting the imperial colonialist conquest during the 19th and 20th centuries. All the West's anti-Chinese sanctions, tariffs, blockades, and extortion may slow Baba Beijing down a tad. In all honesty, it's already game over, and there is not a damn thing Washington, London, and Paris can do to stop it from only getting back to the new same old, same old. I repeat, it's not a question of leaders. It's all about civilizational systems of governance going back thousands of years. This is Jeff J. Brown, China Rising Radio Sinoland, signing off in Shenzhen. Have a wonderful day.